Hello and welcome to the Illinois Association of Park Districts Parkcast. I'm Wayne Utterback, Director of Communications and Digital Content. And today I'm really excited because I get to talk with Donald Terras, Director of the Lighthouse Park District, about the unique nature of his district and an upcoming celebration that's happening. So thank you so much for joining me, Donald.
Well, it's nice to be here, and I appreciate the invitation to join the group at Illinois Association of Park Districts in this podcast realm.
Now, can you just maybe start off with giving me an overview of what the Lighthouse Park District is, just for anyone who might not know?
To summarize, a park district can be characterized as a special interest park district. It was formed in 1929 in Evanston as a separate unit of local government to help preserve park property in northeast Evanston area along the lakefront. In 1935, however, the federal government decided to decommission, means de-staff, the Grosse Lighthouse, which is the most prominent landmark feature on the lakefront, or at least it used to be. I suppose Northwestern University could compete with that now. But at any rate, the lighthouse was constructed in 1873. It's been a landmark feature of Evanston for a very long period of time. The city of Evanston didn't make any noises about wanting to handle the upkeep and maintenance of it. So to make the story short, the Lighthouse Park District wound up with in a stewardship capacity between Evanston and the federal government in that capacity. That is, taking care of the lighthouse and programming and that kind of thing.
Now, speaking about that unique relationship, it seems very one of a kind. Do you know of any other park districts in Illinois that might be like yours at all, or are you pretty?
I can't think of any in the country.
So can you just tell me a little bit about so how does that work then with the park district? Is it how does the community support it? How does that all work?
Well, of course, we have a tax base for the parks that we originally had to take care of. The tax base. We also have a tax base for care of a museum. We have a lighthouse preservation fund for non-operating income. We have annual solicitations to help care for the lighthouse. I've been fairly successful with writing grants, both federal, state, getting local foundations, private foundations involved, and it's being well taken care of.
Excellent. And I mean, speaking of well taken care of, so you are celebrating your sesquicentennial this year. So 150 years of the lighthouse being in existence. What's that been like this year, reaching that milestone?
Well, you know, I've been here for a long time. I've seen a lot of changes take place. Of course, we're in a what I would call a late stage pandemic environment. So people are still trying to figure things out after the pandemic, and it's just simply a matter of refiguring the puzzle that we had all put together to begin with. It's not so much from a preservation standpoint of the buildings or operation of the parks. It's a matter of what was let go for a while, or what we couldn't program during the pandemic shutdown, how we've adapted to make our program more safe, to provide a safer environment for people who do come to visit the lighthouse, who utilize the parks. Anybody who runs an operation like this, I think that we're all in the same boat.
And how does it feel hitting that 150-year mark, getting to be a part of that?
again, the 150-year mark is incredible. There are lots of lighthouses around the country that were constructed in the 1873 and the 1870s. So they're all coming up on it or have passed it by a few years. I mean, it's a land. Not only is it a landmark building, but it's a landmark time period to go through. 150 years is a long time. We are one of few lighthouses that are designated by the Department of the Interior as a National Historic Landmark. We're one of the few lighthouses in Illinois. The only other one right now that I can think of is the Chicago Harbor Lighthouse. Illinois.
Now,
Go ahead.
I was going to ask about the National Historic Landmark designation. What does that do for the lighthouse? Does that help bring some more prominence to it? What are the benefits that come with that designation?
Yeah, it definitely brings a lot of prominence to it. I believe there are only 14 lighthouses in the United States that have that designation. And when you think that the importance of lighthouses in the development of this country, particularly in the beginning, I mean, the United States, North America was really supported by the shipping industry for many, many, many years. It really gives Grosse Point a status of being a National Historic Landmark and highlighting, no pun intended, the job that it's done in safeguarding ships and passengers in and out of Chicago's harbor, which at one point in time was the busiest harbor in the country, surpassing New York City and San Francisco and New Orleans for that matter.
So one of the things I do enjoy about lighthouses is how they have not only this really like an incredible visual style to them, but the history that comes with them too, and the stories that come with those lighthouses. How important is it to share those stories, to share that history with people who might not know about it, about what all lighthouses were, especially when they were at their most important?
Yeah, I think it's a very important part. Certainly locally, the history of this lighthouse is intrinsically tied in with the history of the city of Evanston. But in a broader perspective, you can look at this lighthouse as one link in a chain of lighthouses around the country, even around the world, that are all responsible for saving lives, for helping commerce. And I think it's a story that can be told both on the local and on the national and, as I said, even the world stage with us.
Now, one of the words you mentioned earlier was preservation, and I know that's such an important thing to most all park districts in the state, and with throughout the country. It's just important to preserve land. It's important to preserve historical landmarks. How important is preservation, and what kind of role does it play in your park district?
Well, of course, with a National Historic Landmark, being stewards over a National Historic Landmark, it plays a very, very important part. The parks that we operate are of course important too. But most of our money and most of the brain power behind the park district goes towards what happens at the lighthouse. It can vary. I mean, of course, we mentioned the pandemic before. There were lots of changes that took place, and some of the changes are going to hang on, and some of the changes, of course, are not going to are going to be able to let go of. But it's a different kind of management. My particular background is in anthropology, with a specialization in cultural resource management. And I never thought that I would wind up at a lighthouse. I thought I would wind up in some kind of academic museum, I was into material culture studies, collections and all of that. And I kind of look at the lighthouse buildings as an artifact, like I would in a museum, only it's 100 times larger, 1,000 times larger than the
Yeah.
art that I'd be dealing with in a natural history museum. But you know, the cultural resource management part is really really important, I think, to the history of this place and to managing it.
Now, I have one last question for you, and this is an easy one. For anyone who is curious about coming and checking out the lighthouse, what would you tell them? How would you describe it to someone who is just wanting to figure out a little bit about what they will experience when they come to your park district and check out the Grosse Point Lighthouse?
Well, again, Illinois is the land of Lincoln, a prairie state. It's very, very unusual to have a landmark feature like this for people to come and see. Of course, it's seasonal. We're not open during the cool weather months for various reasons. One, the change in weather can sometimes form ice on the stairs of the light tower for liabilities. You know, we don't even try to do that. And to think about heating the light tower would bring a whole range of other problems. So the best time to come visit is in the spring and the summer. We do have tours of the light tower during the summer. Most lighthouses, as a matter of fact, I don't think any lighthouse on the Great Lakes is open before mid-May, and I think they last until about October, because we all have this thing called winter in the Northeast as well. At least we have it for the time being. Who knows what the future will bring? But so that's the most important part. But you know, we have an interpretive center here. We have a really nice 15-minute interpretive video. We have exhibits and weather permitting and everything else permitting, the people will get a trip up to the top of the light tower to see the skyline.
All right, excellent. Well, hopefully we get a couple folks out there to check it out. And I thank you for taking some time out of your day to just talk with me a little bit.
We do have a website. I would highly recommend that people go to the website to better understand what they might be seeing and visiting. And it's simply grossepointlighthouse.net. And that's Grosse with an E, Grosse, pointlighthouse.net.
All right, we'll put that link in the description of the video as well, so people can click on it.
Okay, great.
All right, well, thank you very much for just taking time out of your day and sharing with us a little bit of the story of your park district.
Wayne, thank you for having me.
All right, thank you very much, sir. You have a great day.
Yeah, thanks, you too.